Hey everyone, welcome to the Community Church Podcast. We have a very special episode we'd love to share with you. This is something that we've actually been hoping to do for a while, and we're excited that we get to do this. We're doing something a little bit different. If you notice, this is not the online experience that you're used to. But a couple of months ago, we actually threw out the idea of talking with some business leaders and really kind of figuring out what they're about and figuring out what they do and the things that they offer. And so I'm really, really excited to introduce you guys to somebody that I've been in relationship with for about the last year, I guess. And he is the owner of a lot of different properties, and it's called D'Argent Properties. Man, Justin, I'm really, really excited to have you here with us today, man. Do me a favor and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do and kind of what your role is with the company.
Well, I am Justin Giallonardo. My family's from New Orleans, and we're with D'Argent Companies. We have a properties division and construction division, and we own and maintain shopping centers throughout the state of Louisiana. So we've been doing that since I was a little kid. So that's all I know. And
So it's like a family business.
Definitely every essence of a family business for sure. The good's bad and the ugly, but mainly good stuff. You know, it's a blessing to be able to work with your family, knowing when things go awry, you know that they got you. They got you. It's a powerful feeling, and it's a good way to live a life.
Yeah,
you know?
man.
So to be around people you trust every day, and I'm very thankful for it.
That's
very blessed.
awesome.
Very blessed.
That's
for that.
awesome. So how many years specifically have you been either the head of the company or been doing what you're doing right now?
I've been doing this particularly since probably 2012. That is the real estate side.
Sure.
That is mainly real estate legal leases, and also acquisitions and maintaining properties in a first class manner. That's what we like to do.
Gotcha.
And my brother, he runs the entire construction division.
Gotcha.
So it's two companies under one umbrella. He runs the construction, I run the real estate. So
Awesome.
We're very blessed to have a great dad who showed us the ropes.
That's awesome.
He didn't allow us in the office for a very long time.
Yeah.
You know, he kept us on the construction sites.
Yeah.
And so we learned how things are built and how things get torn down and how you can transition something.
Yeah.
So a lot of my vision for properties, I can see things that most traditional real estate people don't, because they don't see how a wall goes down.
Right.
Or they don't see how a building can be moved or tear half of it down and build it again over here.
Yeah.
Or even the way vehicles move in and out of parking lots. You know, I can see it, and I can see good ones and bad ones.
Yeah.
So it's made me a lot better to be able to evaluate a property to see if it's got good stuff.
Yeah.
I know what a roof looks like, a good one or a bad one.
Right.
It's funny, concrete versus asphalt. You know,
Yeah.
I know when asphalt's on top of concrete, and that's actually a good thing because you want the concrete base.
Yeah.
You know, so
That foundation.
so a lot of properties I see that look like they're great on paper, when you go actually look at them with the way that I was raised, I can see things, and I can politely decline. Say, well, thank you. You know, it's a great property. You know, wish you the best of luck.
Yeah.
And when I leave, I know that there's a lot of additional cost to own that shopping center.
Yeah.
So really
I've
had a
cool.
great upbringing in this real estate game.
That's really cool. So what would you, if you could put your finger on something, what would you consider success to you? Like everybody in the real estate, industry is the more houses that you can sell, whatever, more properties you can get. But what I've loved about our relationship is I've gotten to hear a little bit about your heart, about the different things you love to do. So how would you consider success in real estate from your perspective?
You know, my perspective changed immensely. You know, and when I was 25 compared to 35, it's a huge difference.
Yeah.
So I would say that success defined in real estate for a mature professional person would be doing good quality business, straight shooting, communicating, all the way through the entire process, and everybody winning. Like that's a good real estate guy.
Yeah.
And when I was younger, I didn't realize the inherent power that I was given when it comes to those communications. And, sometimes I did the best I could. Sometimes I tried to do this, or I would try to make it the way that I thought it would be best for everybody. And I didn't know their business, but I was
Right.
making decisions that I thought was best for their business. And I didn't realize how powerful that was.
Yeah.
And now I communicate with everybody just like you and I communicated in the
Right.
beginning. Like,
Right.
what do you want? What do you need?
Yeah.
How do we make it work? So I guess the long-winded answer to that is that everybody needs to win in a real estate deal.
Mm.
And a successful way for me to see it as a professional is that great relationships, everybody does well, and at the end, everyone gets what they need and what they want for
Yeah.
their mission, whatever
Yeah.
that may be. I'm sure you're not too concerned about getting nails done, at the salon, but they have people
Right.
that live their lives.
Right.
That's their thing, and they have different. They've got plumbing. They got a lot of plumbing that's very,
Right.
very expensive compared to a check cashing place. It has
Right.
2 offices in a front. So and then also you realize that you have local and regional and national people,
Yeah.
and success is different for those people in a national level,
Right.
compared to the local level.
Right.
National, they have to open up 50 stores. Local, they have one store that their grandfather, it's their business, and they're
Yeah.
going to be there forever. So
Yeah.
there's different ways to communicate with people. And as a professional in real estate, you learn, especially for me, you had to learn as you went.
Right.
And it's humbling.
Yeah.
It's humbling.
Yeah.
I'm a guy that has been able to talk to people from all walks of life,
Yeah.
and but I've never really done nails. Never really
Right.
done check cashing.
Yeah.
I never really preached to people.
Right.
But I actually know a little bit about each one of them now, and it makes me thankful to know that I'm able to see all those backgrounds.
Right.
I get to look at a lot of different people, and they don't get to see that many people. You see what I'm saying? So I get to
Right.
see a lot of businesses and it's almost like I'm like a factor for people to come to be successful in business because they need a piece of real estate.
Right.
So I know that a lot of people are funneled to me,
Yeah.
and it's a huge responsibility,
Sure.
and you learn that
Yeah.
sometimes the hard way.
Right, right.
So
Yeah.
but yeah, that's success to me, is making sure everybody that comes to that factory walks out a winner, and they say, you know what, D'Argent Companies, man, they help me, and
That's awesome.
And when I want to do the next one, I'm calling,
Yeah.
and that's success.
That's so good. And I want you to speak to something else that you had mentioned. You and I have had such good conversations about your heart to be able to help churches and ministries and all of that side of it. What kind of drew you? And I know you don't exclusively work with churches and ministries, but I know that's a big part of your heart. Can you tell me a little bit about why that's such a big deal to you?
I was raised in church. I was
Yeah.
raised. I mean, that's what I did. I went to Sunday school. I went
Yeah.
to youth group. I was a drummer in the youth group.
Yes.
I saw
Hey
your
man,
drum
if you're
set
looking,
earlier.
I'm just telling you, if you're looking for a place to serve, I'm just telling you, we got an opening. We can put you in the drums.
Well, I really, really enjoyed that, that part of my life, and I remember going to church, and they had all walks of life in there, and they were all kind. I was raised in business.
Yeah,
Not everybody's kind in business.
that's true.
When I went there, people didn't want something from me.
Yeah,
And to me, that was something different. What is
Wow.
this?
Wow.
Is this religion? Is this spirit? Is this good people? What is this?
yeah,
And so I've never forgotten that.
yeah.
I've never forgotten that. And there's good and bad in everything. But
Sure.
when it comes to churches in particular, I know that one of their biggest challenges they have is real estate. And
Oh,
I've seen
yeah.
a lot of churches out there, ministries, no matter what denomination they are, a lot of them are in a 1930s, 40s, 50s building
Right.
that they keep throwing money into.
Yep.
And they want to grow, and they can't because they kept dumping their money into that stuff,
Yeah.
into a building, which, yes, they own the land, they own the building. It's been there for 100 years, stuff like that. But they don't have the Vatican's money, to
Right,
maintain them.
right.
I just passed St. Peter's Catholic Church. It's
Yeah,
beautiful.
gorgeous.
Millions are in that building.
Oh,
Millions.
yeah.
Okay. But small, small New Iberia, Baptist that's on a road somewhere with 50 people in there, you got to work with them,
Yeah.
So in that case, I knew from a young age my responsibility with owning real estate is to kind of help them. How do we help them?
Wow.
And it's not, get your biggest and best bang for the buck. I still got to make money,
Sure.
of course.
Of course.
But I can be fluid enough to assist them
Yeah.
with something they desperately need.
Absolutely.
So I guess that's why that churches have always kind of been special to me, because I was
Yeah.
raised in it,
Yeah.
and they didn't want anything from me.
Yeah.
I went to them and said, "What do you want?"
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what I want, but y'all are super nice.
Look, as a pastor, that's a hard question because we're always the ones asking, what do you need? How can we help you? What can we? So for it to be asked of us is a little uncomfortable. I'll just sit here and be honest with you. And I think that's really cool. I love your perspective on it. And that's what you experienced as a kid is really, if I was really honest, 9.5 out of 10 churches probably want to create that. I know we do.
Yep.
We want to create that kind of atmosphere. We want kids to grow up and go, look, man, we don't want anything from you. We just want everything for you. And I think that's such a cool perspective that was how you grew up. And so therefore you are in an opportunity or you have an opportunity to be so generous with that. And you have been. And so, man, I just appreciate that so much. Let me ask you this question then. You've probably worked with a ton of churches. You've probably worked with a ton of different ministries. What is the difference? Or I guess I'll ask it this way. What do modern churches need versus traditional churches?
That's a tricky one. I want to flip that to you. I mean,
okay.
Honestly, I want to flip that to you because for me, I'm the factory. Like you come to me and I can whip up anything you need.
Yeah.
So for me, I was just thinking about that, is that it's got to be different, right? Like did they have nurseries back in the day?
Right.
For churches?
Probably not.
I'm assuming they have them now. Like it's a big deal.
Yeah,
it's a big draw.
Yeah, we have tons. So I guess from my perspective, the difference between modern and traditional churches is traditional churches operate kind of as a singular. There's usually one or two pastors on staff, and they usually handle most of the duties of the church. What modern churches are becoming, and I'll explain a little bit further when I explain this first part, is what modern churches are doing is we're practicing what the Bible talks about is as pastors, our jobs is to equip the saints for the work of the ministry, is what the Bible says. And so we love to gather people to help us accomplish what God's calling us to do for a city or a group of people. For most modern churches, and I guess we would consider ourselves a modern church. I don't know. Maybe we are, maybe we aren't. But versus what traditional churches usually have is what you kind of how you grew up, where it's a Sunday school.
Yep.
You got the 10 o'clock service, and sometimes you got Sunday night service, and maybe there's a Wednesday night Bible study. Where what I think modern churches are doing is that they are trying to provide space for a lot of different things. So there's youth ministry now, there's young adults ministries now, there's women's ministries now. For us, it's really important that we remember nursing moms. For us, that's a big deal. I know that's maybe a weird thing to say on a podcast, but that's important for us because we have a lot of young families in our church, a lot of young mothers. And for them to be able to have a space where they can still be mom, but still watch service or be a part of service, we've created an entire theater just for them.
Wow.
And so that's important to us. So that's how we build a lot of times for these little ancillary missions that we have within the church or different groups that we're trying to reach in the church. From a real estate perspective, that's really hard to find.
Absolutely. Yeah, you need rooms. You need rooms. And typically for me, my experience with churches is you have big open squares or rectangles.
Right.
And normally they put a wall down the 3/4 of it.
Right.
And the back has some storage for some chairs.
Yep.
And maybe like a little nursery.
Yeah.
Or like a little, and it's like a multi-use room. It's like a big square in the back. And that's your youth group, that's your nursery, that's your
the multi-purpose room.
And then you have a small stage, and then you have all chairs.
Yeah.
But and that's really good for real estate guys because we have a lot of big boxes.
Right.
And all the extra stuff is expensive for us.
Right.
So prices are different. It's tricky. So, modern versus older ways, I I don't know exactly how it shifts and things like that, but I
Yeah.
remember when I was church, the preacher had a house right next to us. It was connected.
Right, the parsonage.
The parsonage,
That's what
yes,
they call
yes.
it. Yeah.
I remember I watched a football game with my preacher, and I remember he was a big fan
Yeah.
of a team, and he like 11:45. He's like, "All right, we're done today, everybody," and they all knew he was going to watch football. So, but he
That's
invited
awesome.
us.
I mean, I wish I could do that.
That's it. So I do remember that vividly.
Yeah.
And but I mean, I don't think that not many parsonages are in the
No,
modern churches anymore. They can't be
no,
living
well-
at the shopping center. I know that.
Right, exactly.
So I guess that's one thing that maybe I can't help some traditional
Right.
churches is that churches that require a parsonage.
Yeah.
I can't help you.
Right. And what I think, you and I have had some conversations about the spaces that you offer, and like there's so much potential in the space that we were in, the potential for having. That's what attracted us to that shopping center, was having multiple opportunities for growth.
Mm-hmm.
And I think most modern churches are looking for that. They're looking for opportunities that if we outgrow this, because that's what happened to us real fast. We weren't expecting it. With the whenever we first talked, I'd kind of given you some numbers of what I was shooting for over the next year and maybe 2 years. We hit that in the first 3 months.
It's awesome.
So like the growth that we've been able to have was a little bit quicker than even we expected, and so we had to pivot incredibly quickly. But the opportunities, it had the plan for us worked the way we thought it would have, that we would have been in a different situation. But yeah, man, as the modern church develops, they're looking for more opportunities to meet people where they are. And that's the biggest thing, that what I love about what you do is that the shopping centers that you guys come in and purchase and revitalize, you're providing more opportunities for people to be where people are. Kind of like Ariel, right? You want to be where the people are. But yeah, man, I think that's really, really cool. So, I want to kind of speak. You probably can speak to this, better than most people. When it comes to ministries, or when it comes to really any business, what do you think is usually better? Is it better for you to help people own, or is it better for you to help people lease? I know from a business perspective, leasing is probably the better option, but what have you seen that's been beneficial?
Well, I can tell you, I'm always going to push leasing
Sure.
because I've got the building, but
Right.
But for long term is that I'm also trying to be a good steward to other businesses, because I know if I make businesses successful, they're going to call me to build a new building that they may own.
Right. Absolutely.
So I caution many businesses, no matter what they are, say, look, lease for 5 years, lease for 10 years until you either build your clientele, you build your following, you build your business, okay, and then I can go and build you a building somewhere that you can own.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if we do good, I'll loan you the money instead of going to a bank. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So to me, I'm going to push leasing all the time, especially for any business coming out the gate. So another way that I put it is that for an ice cream shop, okay?
Yeah.
Do you want to go buy more ice cream flavors and more cones and more chocolate syrups and all this kind of stuff? Or do you want to build a building and just have 2 flavors because you ran out of money?
Right.
Okay? Use your money to do the things that you know how to do.
Right.
You know what I mean? I use my money for real estate. That's what I do. You know, so I encourage everyone to spend your money on the things that you're good at.
Yeah.
Okay. And I can assure you, owning shopping centers in Louisiana is probably not one of your best bets. You know what I mean? So it took 50 years of experience for us to learn as a family and as a business that. So another thing too is that if you want to rapidly expand, whether that's spreading the message with a church or selling ice cream, you can't be buying big chunks of buildings.
Correct.
You buy ice cream and ice cream and ice cream, and go and you lease buildings.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, so use your money the way that the national people do, which is a CVS. CVS does not own that building most of the time.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Someone like us owns it, and they pay us rent.
Sure.
Because if CVS went and think of a wonderful location, CVS and Walgreens. They're in great locations.
Yeah.
They cannot afford it. Big Walgreens.
I believe it. Yeah. Wow. That's
they buy
crazy.
medicine. They buy Coca-Cola. They buy things like that. And they make us build the structure, and they rent it from us.
Interesting.
So that is how people rapidly expand. So if you're an optometrist and you want to stay there for the next 30 years, build your building. Okay?
Yeah.
But if you want to have 4 optometrist places, you call us and we'll put you in 4 different places and just pay us rent.
Gotcha.
So that is a classic lease versus own. Lease is, blasting cash. You want to go fast. Okay?
Yeah.
Own is just long term. I'm sitting here and I'm not moving. By the way, I can't grow. I can't really change my plan because I need a bigger building.
Yeah.
I'm always going to have 300 people in my church.
Right.
What happens if you go to 600?
Exactly.
So until you are solid and you know exactly, your dynamics of what's going on, you want to lease.
Man, that's so good. Yeah, that's really good. I mean, we were kind of in that situation, very recently where we had that rapid growth and we were trying to figure out what to do. And man, I just, so let me ask you this then. Well, on that still, that line, I know for us, you were able to structure our lease in such a unique way. At least it was unique to me. Might not be unique to you. Maybe you do it all the time. But you were able to work something out with our lease, and I was hoping maybe you could speak to it a little bit. You were able to work out our lease where we could be able to jump into it, but then also we were actually able to jump into it below what the average market was for that property. But we were able to escalate that. Would you mind speaking to that a little bit?
Well, it's unique to y'all's growth patterns.
Yeah.
Like y'all can explode very quickly, and that's good for me.
Right.
Like you want more space. So to me, it's I don't want to use the word gambling, but it's a good bet to bet with a church, because the church is if y'all do it right, if you do it right, you run it right, and you get the right people in there, you're going to want to expand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You want to grow. I mean, churches that don't grow, I'm not sure if that's a good thing. I think you should, just like, it's a funny thing to really always be selling. You know what I mean? For churches, it's always be growing.
That's the goal.
I think that's the base mission, to spread the word to as many people as possible.
Yeah.
If you got the same 30 people coming in every week, you're not really spreading the word.
You're right.
So to me, so the way that I would structure leases with most churches that come in with me is, look, let's get you in. Let's see how you do.
Yeah.
And if it goes well, let's run it.
Yeah.
Let's run it. And so I don't do that with anyone else.
Yeah.
And so y'all are very, very, very unique.
Yeah.
And but the possibility of long-term growth is great for me too.
Right.
So even I call them customers, but is patrons the right word? Church patron?
We just call them people, but
I don't want to say church people.
But yeah, people call them congregants. They call them patrons. A whole bunch of names. Members. How about members?
Members.
There you go.
So I'm gonna say church people are good customers. So and you want them because they bring families to your shopping center.
It's
families. True. We buy second generation, which second generation means that their first use has been gone and a new use has come in.
Yeah.
So we buy second generation shopping centers, and normally those are closer to the city hubs.
Right.
You know what I mean? They're not in the big outskirts where you got your newer buildings. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
But we are surrounded by the people.
Right.
Okay? And you have to go into a shopping center like that and get the people there. Because you've been through a lot of towns where you see these big old buildings, like they're empty. What happened to them?
Right.
And they're mismanaged. Okay. Because they didn't work with the church. They said, church, go out to somewhere else. They could have gave the church a discount to get them in, bring the families in. Now the families after church need to get a haircut.
Right.
They need to go shopping.
Right.
And they're good church people.
Right. We hope to have good church people. That was kind of the goal.
So,
but I agree with you, man. And it also benefits the church too.
Yeah.
What I mean by that is by being, at least for our church, our mission is to be in the community. I mean, it's in our name, the community church, right? So like we have a mission to be in the community and to be able to have service in a place where there's a lot of people and to be able to do things. I remember we did several different types of outreaches, where we gave away some food and some resources and to some of the homeless that were around. And we love being able to do that. We loved that there was several people who were homeless and jobless that knew if they showed up, they were going to get some food, and that's what we wanted to be. And and also be able to utilize the different things in the shopping center. I think that's important too. To be able to, again, be in the community. So, man, that's really, really cool. Let me ask you this question. What, for us, this was one of the biggest hurdles that we had coming into, and really any space. So that this is my first time being a senior pastor. I've never been a senior pastor before. So I don't.
You're not alone.
Right.
You're not alone.
Right.
I look at leases every day.
Yeah.
And I talk to a lot of people that come to me and they're saying, Justin, we're putting your trust in you because we don't know what's in this thing, but you're telling me what's in here. You know what I mean? We got to work together.
I did the same thing with you. I told you the same thing.
And it's not easy. It's not easy. You and I've had a lot of communication, but the thing that happens is that, it's like I was telling you, it's a big responsibility. You come into the factory, you got to leave with a win.
Right.
You and I left with a win.
Yeah.
It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy on either one of us.
It wasn't.
But I can tell you the goal was for a win.
Yeah.
And I had a vision of that. You had a vision of that. And regardless of where everything's turned left or right, you were fluid. I was fluid, but the communication's where it's at.
Yeah.
So
and I did appreciate that a whole lot. One of the things that you always were, you were always communicative with us, and whenever we let you know of some things that we were struggling with, you were always able to be there and available, and I do appreciate that. But one of the things that was a real challenge for me at the beginning, and this is probably going to be a challenge for most pastors who are first timers. Mm-hmm. Maybe other pastors know all about this, but man, getting occupancy, that was such a bear.
That's it.
And it's just such a complicated process. And especially for the city that we're in, there's a lot of things that we have to go through. But tell me a little bit about that process. How I know you were always available for me to ask questions. That was always a big thing. But what would you recommend, or how would you advise someone coming into something like this? Hey, be looking out for these things. What would those things be?
Well, I can tell you, get everything in order before you sign the lease. You got to make sure you got your occupancy, for example. I mean, the fire marshal has a responsibility to your church people,
right?
Your patrons, to make sure that they are safe, in that environment. And the shopping center's not used to having 300 people on a Sunday morning. Right. We're used to having 4 people come in, buy some groceries and come out. You know what I mean? So the occupancy for churches is the number one thing to watch out for. There is hands down, there without anything, new pastors, whoever you are.
Yeah.
Okay? If you are in charge of talking to someone about a new space, you need to tell them, what is the occupancy load for this church?
Yeah.
What is the occupancy load for this place?
Yeah.
Okay. Even on the other side, like bar rooms. Okay.
Yeah.
And shopping centers. Okay. It's very hard to get them, occupancy, safe and fast, because they come in at 9 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you got 50 people there. 2 a.m. you got 400 people there.
Right.
You know what I mean? So the occupancy load is very tricky for a fire marshal, and they know that any given Sunday, I'm not talking about football, but any given Sunday, you can have an influx. Think about Christmas Day compared to March 20th, on a church. So I mean, you're loaded.
Oh yeah.
So they have to calculate for the worst case scenario for them, the best case scenario for the church.
Right.
So there's hands down. I mean, if there's scale 1 to 10, that is a 10.
Yeah.
Okay? And the next thing would probably be like a 6. Okay.
Yeah.
Which would be bathrooms. Okay.
Right.
You got to look at your bathrooms.
Man, I remember I remember that conversation we had, man. You were like, dude, you got to make sure these are the bathrooms you need.
Occupancy and bathrooms.
Yeah.
And oddly enough, they go hand in hand. If you have 300 people, you need this many bathrooms.
Right.
Okay. So.
And I remember you telling me. I remember you telling me how much it would cost to add any. If the occupancy went over a certain number, you're like, dude, it's going to cost this much per toilet. I was like, are you kidding me? It's incredible. But that's the type of stuff that you can help with whenever you've got the experience that you do, especially coming from the construction side.
Yep.
You know those things, but also the real estate side. You were able to help me plan for some of those things and be prepared for them. And so that was super, super helpful. And so I guess I would ask this question, bro. If you could give any church or ministry advice about finding a new space or finding something that fits them, what would you give them to just say, hey, be watching out for this? Because I know I have a lot of pastors that watch this,
Mhm.
a lot of people in ministry that may be looking for that next step. What advice could you give them?
Well, you need to know why you're moving, or what's your goal. Like, are you going from the 1960s church down the road? You know what I mean? The classic steeple, with the
Right.
reception in the back,
Right.
with and are you continuing that type of environment? Are you going to more of a modern type? You know what I mean? Are you is your congregation moving toward a modern type of church? Or you stick to the traditional church?
Sure.
So because that really dictates on exactly which direction you're heading. But
Yeah.
so decide who you are.
Yeah.
What is your the classic? What's your goals? What's your mission?
That's
You
big.
know what I mean? What are those? And this in my mind it's business, but it's still
It's
it,
not though.
it's
It's universal.
define yourself and
Yeah.
define who you are and what your message is going to be.
Yeah.
Let's just say I see the rodeo churches. I think they're
Yeah. The
awesome.
cowboy
Right?
churches.
You
Yeah.
can't open a cowboy church in my shopping center. You know what I
Right.
mean? So don't
Right.
call me. I want to help you, but I can't put a rodeo out front. You know.
Right.
So and also just define who you are, okay?
Mm.
But also another huge thing that you mentioned, which is up my radar, is that you know what expansion needs you have. You don't want to move right now, and all of a sudden you run out of space. You got to do it again. I mean,
Right.
it's hard. It's very hard.
Believe me, I know.
And I could even tell you this on a business level, it takes away from the actual purpose and the vision, because you're worried about doing this and this and this and this, and you can't really commit enough time to whatever your mission is.
That's exactly right.
Same thing for business on my end. If I'm focusing on, certain things instead of running the business, the business could suffer.
Yeah.
So to me is that make sure that you're going to be focused on what's going to be happening, and make sure you have that expansion. So a short recap is define all your goals, just like any business, who, what, when, where, why are we here? What are we doing? What's our
Yeah.
purpose? What's our mission? And make sure you have the ability to expand.
Yeah.
Because once you're there, you don't want to be bouncing around. You want to stay.
Yeah.
And you want to work with a property owner that's going to be able to accommodate you too.
Right.
So and just like traditional churches versus a modern type feel, there's also traditional shopping center owners that
Right.
are like, no.
Right.
And you got a modern type guy, simply because of my age,
Right.
and experiences, that I can move a lot, but if you go to a property owner, you don't feel comfortable, go somewhere else. They got
Right.
plenty of buildings everywhere,
Yeah.
so
And I think you're exactly right. I mean,
gotta be comfortable.
I think I might have told you this before we got in touch with you. We called almost every single shopping center and open building in the city.
Yeah.
I told you we had gotten up until that point we had 37 no's. So we would knock on a door, we would call somebody up, hey, we'd like to 37 no's,
Yeah.
and we finally got in touch with you, and we were able to work that out, and it was awesome, and you were super accommodating, and I really appreciate that. So, man, I'm super grateful for you, bro. I'm grateful for the relationship. I hope that I'm sure our paths are going to cross again, man. And you can always reach me, bro. And I'm grateful for you. I would like to ask you, man, how can people get in touch with you? How can they find you? If they got questions about real estate, if maybe they're looking for a property, if they're looking for maybe even to build, like on the construction side, how can they reach you? How can they get in touch with you? How would they do that?
Well, we got some easy ways. You can go to DArgentCo, DARGENTCO.com.
We can put it in the
And then you can just give us a call, 318-787-6049.
nice.
Particularly we own properties in Louisiana.
Okay.
I was in an airplane for probably 10 years, flying all over the country for properties that we had. And we sold all those properties. So we are strictly in Louisiana. I can give advice to anybody, in the country, but if you're in Louisiana and you need some real estate type help, my advice is absolutely free. It may not be the best advice, but it's absolutely free.
Yeah.
I'm not a legal attorney, but I could help you in a lot of situations. You know, so there's we'll put it in the description. Ways you can get in touch with us. But I'm a pretty open guy. I've got a lot of open ideas, and a testament to you. We communicate.
Yeah.
Not every deal is perfect. Okay?
Right.
If they're all perfect, then something's not right.
Right.
But at the end, did we accomplish our goals? Did we build, better relationships? Did we learn a lot? Heck yeah, we learned a lot of fun
Yeah.
stuff,
Yeah.
and we didn't hurt each other, but
Right.
we stood our ground on both sides and say, you know what, this is what I need, this is what you need. Let's figure it out.
Right.
So I think that's a testament to your faith, okay? And I think it's a testament to my experience in commercial real estate to say, you
Definitely.
know what, we mutually respect each other for what we need.
Yeah.
And if any pastors out there, anybody out there that you represent your church, not only with faith, but with your passion, you say, hey, look, this is what I need. This
Yeah.
is what my congregation needs. Can you help me?
Yeah.
And all I really know is business, but I encourage everyone out there that is trying to spread whatever message they need to is that stand firm on what you need. Okay.
Mhm.
Protect your congregation,
Yeah.
protect your people. And things will work out with
Yeah.
communications all the way through. And if you do not feel comfortable with that landlord, you just back out because there's a million of us out there. You got
Right.
37 no's.
Yeah. You're right.
And they didn't even, half of them probably didn't even, after they heard, oh, your church, they're done.
Most of them.
And there's shame on them because
Yeah.
they didn't have the experience we had. They didn't
Right.
get to learn together. They didn't.
Right.
Their shopping center's probably still empty, or their building's still empty.
Yep.
But in our situation, I'm able to work another real estate deal,
Mhm.
and you know about that. It worked out wonderfully.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we had a fun ride. We learned together, and I think it's
Right.
great. So I'm very thankful.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, hey, everyone, we hope you enjoyed today's podcast as much as we did. If you like what you saw, do me a favor and hit like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. You can also find us on Facebook. You can find us on our website, communitychurchla.com. You can also find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Amazon Music. We'll see you next time.